everybody, my name is Tom Timbrooks and I'm going to be running for United States House of Representatives, Oregon 6th Congressional District. That is the people that go to Washington, D.C. to represent the state of Oregon. My motto is make Oregon 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. I put out these videos on a weekly basis because well, I want you to know who I am. I want you to know what I'm all about and everything. And, you know, basically, I want you to know something further than what campaigning. Campaigning is great and everything. You see people's posters all over the place. You see, you know, this person's sign on the side of the road or something like that. You say, well, that person's running for this position. Maybe I should vote. You don't really find out anything about a person when all you see is a sign on the side of the road. You know, so I want to put out these videos so that you can get to know me, ask me questions, find out more about me, how I plan on representing the state of Oregon before you vote. And so that's me right there. So I've got my core values here are limited government, local decision-making, free market economy, fiscal responsibility, and personal liability and responsibility. And this is, you know, limited government. Some people like expanded government. I kind of prefer the limited government because of the fact that limited government is less expensive and it's more effective whenever you have a problem. If you can deal with the issue at a lower level, you know, city, state, county, whatever, it should be dealt with at the lowest level possible, make government more efficient. Local decision making, that goes along with the limited government. You want the decisions to be made at as local a level as possible. The free market economy, of course, I'm definitely not a socialist. Capitalism is the American way, and we've been capitalists for a very long time. It's been successful. So I definitely do not support the socialist agenda here. And the fiscal responsibility, that's just basically what we do with your tax dollars. The Fifth Amendment states that no private property will not be taken away without just compensation. And so, you know, I feel that every dollar that the taxpayer puts into the pot deserves some kind of just compensation. So, you know, fiscal responsibility is the government justifying every dollar that is taken away from you. Okay, so that's what fiscal responsibility is. And as far as the citizen goes, personal liberty and responsibility, which just means that you are an individual and you are a member of society. There's a reasonable expectation of you, the individual, acting in a certain way. And this is just, you know, personal liability, personal responsibility. So those are the core values that I have. And, you know, some people, liberals tend to go a little bit the other way. I'm more of a conservative, maybe because I'm old and wise and I've made a lot of mistakes, and so I know better. But yeah, that's my core values. So today's slideshow, Easter as a cosmic event. So Sunday was Easter. This last Sunday was Easter, and it was a great holiday. Kids love it. You know, you go around hiding eggs and everything. And I thought, you know, Easter is a really interesting holiday, and I did some research into Easter to find out more about it, and I found out some really interesting things about Easter. So let's go into this. And some of the things I found out about Easter, you know, kind of affect what I'm going to be talking about later. So Easter is not just a date on a calendar, it's a moment defined by the sun, which is the spring equinox, the moon, the first full moon, and the earth, Sunday. It's a synchronization of cosmic cycles. So for those of you who don't know, Easter is a floating holiday. And I believe it's the only floating holiday that we have in the United States. Easter takes place after or it's on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. I believe it's called the vernal equinox. So it's kind of interesting that it's a floating holiday because, you know, all these events, all these cosmic events have to happen. And I find that kind of fascinating because it's a whole cycle of rebirth and everything. So let me get back to my slides here. What's the spring equinox? It occurs when day and night are equal. It marks the transition from winter to spring. And it happens around March 20th to 21st each year. And this is where it's right there. You see the sun. You have the autumnal equinox and the vernal equinox. And if you translate equinox into English, it's equal nights. So equal nights. So you have equal day, equal night. So your night and your day are pretty much the same amount of time. And around Christmas, you have the longest night. Around June, you have the longest day. And that's just because the Earth is tilted on, I think it's about a 23-degree axis, okay? Oh, there you are right there. Earth's tilt, about 23.5 degrees, causes seasons. At equinox, neither hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. Light is evenly distributed. The balance in the physical world. So that's the balance in the physical world. The importance to ancient civilizations. Civilizations tracked the equinox because it signaled planting season, migration patterns, and survival cycles. Examples of this, ancient Egypt had the Nile cycles, and I don't know how many people know this, but the Nile is a very interesting river. See, the Nile runs from the south to the north, but there is a continuous breeze going from the north to the south. So sailboats would go up the Nile. You know, they would be propelled by the wind, the perpetual wind going from the north to the south. They'd be pushed up the Nile, and they would get whatever, and they'd put it on their boats, and then they'd take the sails down, and they would just drift down the Nile on the way back. Well, the Nile's a very long river, and it's connected to parts of Africa that have a heavy rain season. The rains that happen in that part of Africa, they fill the Nile up with a whole bunch of water, and so in Egypt, around the delta of the Nile, you have a flood season. The water comes up, and then you have a dry season. So the flood season, that's planting season. They plant and everything, and then when the floods go away, that's when you go ahead and harvest the crops. So that was the whole reason that the Egyptians knew when to plant and when to harvest. It's around the equinox period of time. So that's why it was important to pay attention to the duration of the night, the duration of the day, back a long time ago. It's just, you know, that's how they did it back then. The Mayan calendar system, same thing. Stonehenge, solar alignment, same thing. So these are examples of how it's been taken advantage of. The real world meaning, the equinox represents a balance between light and darkness, transition from scarcity to growth, and it's a universal symbol of renewal. Now, why the full moon matters is Easter occurs after the first full moon after the equinox. This is called the partial full moon. Some people say partial full moon. This is partial full moon. I don't know why they call it the partial full moon. That's just what they call it, I guess. Okay. Anyway, so here's where it is, and you see the full moon happens. That's the Earth right there and everything. So the sunlight comes, hits the Earth, and hits the moon at the same time. So that's where we get the full moon from. Why wait for the full moon? The full moon represents completion of a cycle. The ancient calendars were lunar-based. The Jewish Passover is tied to the full moon, and Easter is linked historically to Passover timing. So, you know, I don't know how many people know this, but here's the thing: the Jewish religion was around a long time before the Christian religion was around, and the Christian religion is kind of based on the Jewish religion. Well, the Jewish religion had Easter, you know, the Passover and everything, so the Christian religion kind of cultivated a couple of their holidays, and so that's how that happens. So that's how we get Easter. It's a wonderful holiday. It's a good, you know, about the resurrection of Jesus and everything. It's a great holiday, you know. Anyways. The completion of a cycle, ancient calendars linked historically to Passover. So the symbolic meaning of the full moon across cultures, the full moon represents illumination, completion, revelation, light fully overcoming darkness. And anybody, remember, most of human civilization took place before we had lights. Okay, which means for the past like 100 years, 200 years, we human beings have not had to worry very much about the darkness. You know, we've had electric lights and street lamps, you know, gas street lamps and stuff like that, flashlights and all that for a little while now. So none of us humans really knows what it's like to exist in natural darkness. I mean, even if you go out into the middle of the country, you can still see city lights all around you. So, yeah, if the full moon was out, what the full moon, you know, hey, it's the middle of the night, but there's the moon, and it's almost just like daytime. So the full moon would allow for an extension of the daylight so that you could keep doing whatever you were doing. So, yeah, we modern humans don't really understand the value of the full moon because we've never had to worry about it. But you know, for most of human civilization, for most of the time that human civilization has existed, the full moon was basically an extension of the day. So you know, that's why it was kind of important back then too. So. Now, why Sunday is complete Easter? Sunday is the day of the sun. It represents light, life, and renewal. In Christianity, the resurrection is said to occur on Sunday, the day of rebirth. And this is the day that we know that you know, Jesus came back from the dead. He was crucified and laid to rest. 3 days later, he came back from the dead. He was alive. This is the miracle of Easter. And this is what we as a Christian community have been taught, that Easter is about the resurrection of Jesus and you know, the resurrection of civilization also. So Christianity is not the only religion to observe the equinox as an event, that, you know, a celestial event, but you know, this is what Christianity associates with Easter, is the rebirth of Jesus, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so reflects the universal pattern of death, transformation, and rebirth. This pattern appears across civilizations. Ancient Egypt with Osiris, death and resurrection. The Greek myth, Persephone, seasonal rebirth. Hinduism, cycles of creation and destruction. Christianity, resurrection of Christ. Now, why this pattern exists? Well, human beings observed a long time. Winter is the death of nature. Spring is the rebirth of life. Spiritual systems mirror natural cycles, and this is true for all religious cycles or religious beliefs. All religious beliefs have as their foundation some kind of natural cycle. For Christianity, we have the birth of the Son of God around Christmas time. Well, that's also where the shortest day exists, and after that, the days start getting longer. Okay, so this is the rebirth of the sun. So, you know, this is a religious belief that is also based on natural cycles. So you know, it's not terribly uncommon for people all over the world to have the same kind of belief systems and just change the names to something else. So all religions are based on this whole concept of rebirth and death, rebirth, and so forth. So, you know, it's good stuff there. Letting go of the old self. Death, rebirth symbolizes letting go of the old self, renewal of purpose, the transformation through hardship. Bring it all together. Easter combines the solar cycle, which is the equinox, the lunar cycle, which is the full moon completion, and the weekly cycle, Sunday, the renewal, a triple alignment of time. And a lot of people, I guess, might not realize, but every day of the week was named after something that was seen in the sky. If you ever wonder why it is there's 7 days in the week, what we have is there were 7 things in the sky that were visible to early primitive man. And this was the sun day, so that's why we have Sun Day, and the moon, which is why we have Moon's Day. And the last day, Saturn, we have Saturn's Day, you know, so Saturday, Saturn, like that. And every day of the week is named after one of the celestial bodies, one of the planets. The planet means traveler in, I think it's either Greek or Latin, I can't remember, but yeah, planets means traveler, and one of the travelers in the sky. And this is why we have 7 days in the week, is because early, you know, primitive man noticed that there were 7 things in the sky that didn't stay put. All of the stars stayed put except for these 7 things that traveled: the sun, the moon, the planets. Okay, so that's why we have 7 days of the week. And the sun's day is the biggest thing in the sky. This is where we start. We start with the sun on Sun's day. Okay. Just the narrative renews. Crops regrow, days lengthen, life returns, so can individuals and societies. Easter is not random. It's precisely time to reflect the balance restored, darkness overcome, and life renewed. Okay, so it's more than just hiding eggs and also watching the 10 Commandments. Charlton Heston on the 10 Commandments, where he just goes like that and opens up the Red Sea. I believe every year around Easter, there's some network somewhere is showing the 10 Commandments, which it's an awesome show. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid. I didn't even know there was a religious tie-in. I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but this is kind of cool. You know, it was a really cool show. But yeah, so Hollywood gets in on it too. So anyways, so I'm going to travel off Easter really quick, and I'm going to go towards politics, which, you know, this show is about politics, so I'm going to, from spiritual renewal to civic renewal. Easter reminds us that renewal is part of the structure of the universe, but renewal doesn't just happen in nature, it must also happen in our system of government. And of course, I'm campaigning on YouTube for a position, a government position. The United States House of Representatives for the 6th Congressional District in Oregon. So naturally, this had to take a political turn. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's kind of what I have to do here, okay? Primary elections. So the primary elections are going to take place really soon. This is where choices are shaped, where direction is set, where new leadership can emerge. Why primaries matter more than people think. Most elections are effectively decided during the primaries. The candidates are selected, party direction is established, voter influence is highest here. If you skip the primary, you're stepping out of the decision process early. And what the primary is, you know what, there's a lot of people who don't know what a primary election is, okay? There are 2 major parties in the United States, Republicans, Democrats, okay? a lot of people think that anybody who wants to run can just put their name on a ballot, and when November comes around and we elect somebody, well, then there's, you know, all these candidates to choose from. No, that's not a good way to do it. Somebody decided somewhere that that's not a good way to do it. It wasn't me. Happened a long time before I was even born, so it is what it is. Anyways, the primary is where all of the Republicans who want to run for public office, mayor, representative, senator. I don't think we're electing, we might be electing a senator this time. I don't know for absolute certain, but the governor and like that. So what we're going to do is, let's say we have 10 people who want to run for governor who are Democrats or Republicans, okay? The primary election is going to be the part where all of the Republicans are going to decide which Republican they want running for the election. So if you've got 5 people who are running for the position of governor, then whoever gets to run for, the one person that gets to run for governor against the Democrat or, you know, whoever, that one person will be decided during the primary. The primary election doesn't mean that this person is the governor. The primary election means this person is who the Republicans or the Democrats want to run for governor. Okay, so that's what the primary is for. The primary is where your party, either Republicans or Democrats, decide who is going to be the person that that represents your party during the final election in November. Now, the Independent Party of Oregon has a different way of doing it. And what they do is, after the primaries are over, they look for who they like, Democrat, Republican, or whomever, and they decide, I believe it's like a month after the primary election, who it is they want to run for the Independent Party. And so the Independent Party of Oregon will appoint somebody after the primaries are over. So that's something I don't much care. That's one of the few things about the Independent Party of Oregon that I don't much care for, is that the Independent Party will appoint somebody to run, but you know, if you don't like the person, then don't vote for that person. If you like them, you know, go ahead and vote for them. But anyways, so that's what the primary is. Sorry if you already knew that. Sorry, but if you didn't know that, well, that's, you know, helpful. Voting is essential, but it's only the beginning. Voting is not the end of participation. It's the starting point. The system requires feedback. A representative government is a feedback system. Input from the voters elect the representatives. The process, representatives makes decisions. The output, laws, policies, and outcomes. The feedback, citizens respond, evaluate, and correct. Without feedback, the system drifts. And this is important for either Republicans or Democrats, independents, whomever. Let's say you have the Democrats here, and the Democrats, they lost the election, and the representative is going to be a Republican. If you are living in that congressional district, like this is the 6th congressional district, if you are living in the 6th congressional district and somebody, like right now, the person, Andreas Salinas, is a Democrat, Republicans are also being represented by Andreas Salinas. So Andreas Salinas needs to listen to Republicans and Democrats for guidance, for feedback. And let's say a Republican gets put into office, then the Republican has to listen to the Democrats as well as the Republicans for feedback, for direction. See, so whenever a person is elected, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, remember, maybe only 50% of the people voted for you, but you are representing 100% of the people. You have to make as many people happy as you can. And you have to do it all while maintaining a constitutional direction. You have to keep everything that you do within the bounds of the Constitution, but you have to represent all of the people that are in your district. You have to work for all of the people, not just the people in your party. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you're a Democrat and they elect a Republican, you still get represented by that Republican. If you're a Republican and a Democrat is elected, you are still represented by that Democrat. You have to provide them with reasonable, useful feedback. If you don't do that, then the political system kind of fails. Okay, so remember, it's a system that's based on transparency and feedback. Okay, so if representatives don't hear from the people, they assume they're doing the right thing. They continue in the same direction. Small misalignments grow into large problems. This is a classic closed-loop failure. Sometimes it's called the echo chamber. If the only thing a person hears is their own opinion, then that's an echo chamber. Real world, think of a manufacturing process. If you stop measuring output quality, defects increase, drift occurs. Eventually, the system produces unstable results. Government works the same way. Accountability and transparency. In the United States, we have something powerful, the right to demand accountability and transparency. This is not optional, it's foundational. And a lot of people think that the right to vote is the most powerful right that you can exercise. And it is a very powerful right, it really is. But one of the rights that we have in America that is just as powerful as voting, if not more powerful, is the right to demand transparency from whomever it is that's representing you. Your representative, your mayor, your governor, whomever. And this is why the First Amendment includes in it a part that says you have the right. The Congress will not pass any laws that have any kind of effect on the citizens' right to gather peacefully and address any kind of issues they have with the government. So that's the First Amendment. That's your First Amendment right, is to come out and protest any problems you have with the government. So that's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful right. And I think, you know, the United States of America back 250 years ago, I think we were one of the very first countries that actually allowed people to do that, you know. So it's gotten a little bit out of hand lately, you know, naked hippies laying down in the street and everything, but, you know, once again, it is what it is, you know. Accountability ensures decisions align with the people, power remains controlled, errors are corrected early, and it keeps the system stable and responsive. Transparency matters. Transparency allows the citizens to see what decisions are being made, understand how resources are used, evaluate outcomes. You cannot provide feedback if you cannot see. So feedback, very important part of that. The role of the citizen. A representative government is not passive. It requires active participation. Citizens have to vote, observe, ask questions, and provide feedback. And this is something that happens every once in a while. You'll get your representatives coming out and they'll be saying, hi, I'm your representative, I'm your mayor, I'm your governor or whatever, and they'll be addressing the public. They'll be saying, hello public, hello people, how am I doing? Am I doing anything wrong? Am I doing anything right? Is there anything that you would change? And this is where I've seen these people with the signs, yeah, we need to impeach you. Just get rid of you. That's what we need to do, is get rid of you. And I don't agree with that. I think, okay, whenever the First Amendment was written, they figured, okay, what people are going to do is they're going to write down, we have a problem with this. You're spending too much money here. You're not spending enough money here. You could please look into this. Thank you very much. And here's our paper. This is what we think is going wrong. And this list, the petition here, this is all the people who agree with this list. So, could you look into that? That's what they were thinking about. The last time Andrea Salinas had a public forum, she's addressing the public, saying, yeah, how you doing? What's this going on? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of people brought in signs saying impeach Donald Trump, deport Elon Musk, and like that. And that's not the kind of feedback that the government people are looking for. They're looking for something that's specific, it's time-oriented, like that, and it's measurable. So, that's the kind of feedback that government is looking for. Unfortunately, most of the time what the political officials get is death threats and all kinds of messed up things left on their answering machine. And they have to sift through all this in order to find anything that's of any kind of meaningful value. So, yeah, I don't envy anybody who's in a public office. Basically, you're the clown that's in the dunk tank, and you were just waiting for somebody to run up and push that little button that dumps you into the dunk tank, and you have to come out of the dunk tank smiling every time. You got to go, yeah, you dunked me. Yeah, that's good. So, yeah, I don't really envy anybody that does that, but the people that do that, I have a lot of respect for them, whether you're Democrat or Republican or independent, whatever. If you volunteer for a position where you are serving the public or attempting to serve the public, I think you deserve as much respect as the people can provide for you. If people have a problem with what you're doing, write it down and make it look legitimate, make it look concise, provide some kind of useful feedback to the political party representative, because they do get feedback from people. They do listen to the feedback, and they try to correct their course according to the feedback. So, yeah, this is basically what I'm saying is, once we have transparency, once we have accountability, then we have to provide some kind of direction. We can't micromanage. We just have to look at what's happening and say, very basically, we think you're doing this wrong. We think this is right, this is wrong. Can we fix this? So, anyways, that's the value of accountability and feedback in our way of doing things. So, anyways. Renewal in government is not once a year, it's continuous. Election is a selection, oversight to correction, engagement goes to direction. The connection back to Easter, just as nature renews itself, balance is restored, life is renewed, our government must also be renewed, but only through participation. And that's you, the American public, going through the voting process and making sure that whatever it is you want the government to do, provide them with the feedback that directs them in a way that you want them to go. Okay, so final message on this: voting is important, but voting alone is not enough. A healthy republic requires participation, accountability, continuous feedback. Because in the end, we don't just elect our government, we are responsible for how it performs. And that's, like I was saying, Easter is a renewal of the seasons, a renewal of the spirit, renewal of the self. And it's just a beautiful time of the year. It's I guess where spring begins and everything. So it's right that this should be a period of time dedicated to our renewal of faith in our government as well. And this is a period of time where the election process starts. It ends in November is when the final election happens. So from now until then, this is the whole election process. This is where we get to ask our candidates questions, find out what direction they're going in, and that's why I do these videos. I do these videos in order for you, the people who are watching, to be able to listen to what I have to say, ask questions. YouTube has got the little thing there where you can provide feedback, ask me questions, tell me, hey, what are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? Go this way or that way or whatever. And so the thing I like about YouTube is it's kind of an anonymous forum, and people can people can reach me anonymously, give me some kind of feedback, tell me things, and I can feed back to them, and like that. So it's really a good system all around, and it's free. So I can't afford all the money. So anyways. Birthright citizenship. This is one of the big things that we've been talking about, birthright citizenship. And this is something I wanted to cover here because coming to America to become an American citizen, that is also a renewal process. You are looking for a second chance in a country that you're hoping will provide you with an opportunity to renew yourself. So just like the seasons renew, our government renews, personal renewal, it can happen. And people choose to come to America because they see America as a land of opportunity. But some people have a more sinister reason for coming to America. And this is where birthright citizenship comes in. The Constitution, I think it was the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, establishes people who were born in America as citizens, American citizens. And at the time that the amendment was written, that was a good idea, because slavery had just ended. Slavery had just been made unconstitutional by the 13th Amendment. And so the 14th Amendment is going to say, well, the children who were born to slaves in America, they are American citizens just like everybody else, okay? Well, at some time after that, people started thinking, well, what if you're just born in America? What if you're not a slave? What if you were just born in America? I mean, isn't that good enough? And America, for a long time, was underpopulated. And it was perfectly fine. Most Americans were perfectly fine with the idea of these people coming to America. It's like, well, yeah, you were born in America, that's fine, sure. Well, there's 350 million people in America now, and we aren't underpopulated anymore. So we have to be kind of critical on who it is we allow to come into America. Now, I have seen documentaries done, I've seen news programs done that talk about these people who take advantage of the birthright citizenship. And you've got entire hotels and B&Bs and like this, and these buildings are dedicated to allowing foreign nationals to come to America. These foreign nationals who are pregnant come to America, give birth to their children in America, and this provides their children with birthright citizenship. So they are citizens by virtue of the fact that they were born in America. And like I said, for a very long time, nobody really cared about this because America is kind of underpopulated. And if you want to come to America and be an American, if you want to guarantee your child's right to be able to come to America, I'm fine with that. But there's something called economy of scale. The economy of scale is where something seems like a good idea at a small scale, But when it's a big scale, you know, if you're dealing with like 10,000 people a year being born in America, birthright citizenship, yeah, you know, whatever. But if you're dealing with like 5 million people a year being born in America and getting birthright citizenship, that creates another situation. Okay, that causes another potential destabilizing situation. So when you have thousands of people doing it, no big deal. When you've got millions of people doing it, big deal. Okay, that's where the economy of scale steps in. Something that seems like a good idea at a small scale, not such a good idea at a big scale. Okay, and so this is why birthright citizenship is becoming an issue that the government is going to eventually have to deal with. So that's, you know, that's why I'm talking about it now, because if I ever get elected to the House of Representatives, I know birthright citizenship is an issue that I'm going to have to be able to deal with. And so I've been, you know, kicking it around in my brain, doing some research. And let me take you through the research. Another area where participation and accountability matters is citizenship itself. Who becomes a citizen, how that decision is made. Constitutional basis. The debate centers around the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It grants citizenship to those born in the United States, and it includes the phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Interpretation of that phrase is where the debate begins. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof means that the state has jurisdiction over the people who came to America and reproduced. So somebody who just vacations in America for a month and produces their child and then goes back to their home, the state does not have jurisdiction over these people. They're tourists. Okay, so the child that they produced in America should not be considered a citizen. So the birthright citizenship thing is, it doesn't include people who just vacation here and produce offspring while they're within the borders of the United States. Okay, at least that's the way I see it. But there are other people out there who see it differently. And this is the nature of my philosophical approach to government, is that it can't always be one way. It can't always be my opinion and nobody else's. I have to listen to other opinions. I have to listen to other ideas, other people's feelings, get input from the people being represented, and make a decision not just based on my feelings, but based on the input, the average input of all the people that I represent. So I know that the liberals, the Democrats will be thinking one way, the Republicans, conservatives will be thinking another way. So I've kind of tried to figure out a solution to the problem. Let me see how you like my solution. I'm a manufacturing engineer. Solutions are what I'm all about, okay? So there are two general perspectives. One view, the birthright citizenship is broadly guaranteed. Another view is it was intended with limitations. This has become a party line debate, okay? So the system stress point. Some individuals are traveling to the United States specifically to give birth, so the child can claim U.S. citizenship later. This creates system incentive. This is not just a legal issue, it's a system design problem. Incentives influence behavior, systems respond to incentives, loopholes get exploited. So the balance we need. The United States must do two things simultaneously: provide opportunity and protect the integrity of the system. Both are necessary. Neither should cancel out the other. So why the current system struggles? High demand for citizenship, limited processing capacity, legal ambiguity, political division. The result is an overburdened system. And when the system is overburdened, we get all kinds of injustice happening. This is why one of the amendments to the Constitution, I think it's the 8th Amendment to the Constitution, is a guarantee of a speedy trial. And back then, back a long time ago, when the Bill of Rights was written, people weren't getting speedy trials. If they were getting trials, you know, they might not even get a trial. They might just get, you know, a crowd of people saying, yeah, that guy's ugly and he's got stupid kids and he smells bad. Let's just hang him. Let's just send him to jail. A little bit of hard work. You know, a speedy trial is guaranteed by one of the amendments in the Bill of Rights, and I think it's the 8th Amendment, could be the 7th, but anyways, yeah. So speedy trial is guaranteed as one of your constitutional rights there. Instead of asking which side is right, ask what system processes the best outcome. And that's the systems engineer that I am. The engineer that I am is talking about, it is rarely the person, it is almost always the process. That's something that John Steinbeck in his novel Cannery Row, there was this character in his novel. That's one of my favorite novels of all time. I love Cannery Row. It's a great novel. What happened was John Steinbeck's character made a statement. He said, anytime there's a problem, it's very rarely the person, it's almost always the process. And that really is true, because, I mean, how many times have you written something down on a piece of paper and said, here's the process, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then you give it to somebody and they'll say, oh, okay, you want me to do this? Huh. I mean, what does this mean? Well, it's, you know, to you, it's obvious, but to the person reading it, it's not. And that's because what you are saying to that person and what that person is hearing are quite possibly two different things. I mean, it's clear, it's perfectly clear in your mind, but it might not be clear in that person's mind. So it's generally speaking, it's the process, it's not the person. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about when I say the process here. That's what me as a manufacturing engineer over like 35 years, that's something I've noticed, is that it's generally not the person, it's the process. Okay, so anyhow, back to us. Here's my proposed solution. Citizen jury model. Introduce a grand jury style citizenship review system. Citizens participate directly in evaluating the applications. Okay, how it works: applicants submit for citizenship review. A panel of citizens is selected, like jury duty, just like jury duty. The criteria are defined by the Supreme Court of the United States. First, you know, Congress decides, hey, this is what we want, and then we ask the Supreme Court of the United States, is this reasonable? The Supreme Court decides, yeah, this is reasonable, so we know it's legal. We know the Supreme Court likes it, so it's up to the president to make sure that, you know, the president enforces the laws. The president enforces this law. And so the panel evaluates the intent, contribution potential, and alignment with constitutional principles. So essentially what my proposal is this: it's not a jury that's saying you're guilty or innocent. It's a jury that is saying, are you gaming the system, or do you have good intent? You know, are you coming to America because you want to burden the system or because you want to benefit the system? Are you going to be a problem, or are you going to be an asset? I guess I should say liability or asset. So what this will do is it will allow, one time I was on a grand jury, and when I was on that grand jury, basically the police would come in and say, this is our evidence. Is this evidence fit for a criminal trial? And we would look through the evidence and we would say yes or no. And if all the evidence was fit for a criminal trial, the evidence would go through and be used. Same basic concept. Because, I mean, here's the thing. You have government people going into cities, immigration and customs enforcement, ICE. They go into the cities and they bring out the people who either say, well, they're foreign nationals, they're criminals, we got to get rid of them. What this panel of American citizens would do is evaluate every person's right to citizenship in America. And basically it would weed out the big problems. People who come to America, reproduce, you know, their child is born in America, then they go back to whatever country they're from. They're going to petition for their child to be considered a citizen. And this panel of American jurors would look at it and say, well, come on, just because this kid was born here, that doesn't mean the kid's going to eventually be an asset to America. When the kid becomes an adult, the child, you know, that child has every right in the world to petition for citizenship, and we will evaluate that person's right to citizenship based entirely on objective criteria, not on the fact that this child was born in America, but that doesn't necessarily make this child instantly a citizen, see? And so what this will do, it will keep people from gaming the system. And really, that's the major problem we have throughout the United States, is we have these programs that are set up, these social programs that are set up, and they're terrific social programs. They really are. They help a lot of people out. The unfortunate reality is that there are a lot of people who take advantage of America's generosity. And it's also unfortunate that a lot of times the United States government knows about corruption but doesn't pursue any kind of legal action against the corruption because budgetary requirements. And like let's say there's some kind of fraud happening. Well, if that fraud isn't more than $1.5 million, the government's probably not even going to look into it. It's just like if a person goes to a store and steals something, the police aren't even going to investigate it if it's not more than $1,000. And they aren't going to get serious about it unless it's like $10,000 or more, or somebody got hurt. Okay, so criminals know exactly what they can get away with, and these people who game the system, they know exactly what they can get away with. What this citizens panel will do is it will empower the American citizen in preventing regular people from regular everyday criminals from gaming the system. Okay, that's an important thing in America, because we need these social programs, but we don't need these charlatans that take advantage of our generosity. Because there are a lot of hardworking Americans who, they're not going to take advantage of this generosity because, well, they don't want to commit a crime. They don't want to go to jail. But there are people out there who don't mind the idea of going to jail. So they're going to game the system. And that's what this proposition of mine will help the American people to do, is weed out those who are gaming the system. Okay, so if the citizen panel reaches a decision, recommendation is issued. If alignment with Constitution criteria, applicant proceeds towards citizenship. Why this approach works: this system introduces public accountability, distributed decision-making, reduced bureaucratic bottlenecks. It becomes a participatory system. So this converts citizenship into a feedback-controlled system. Input, applicants; evaluation, the citizens panel; validation is the constitutional criteria; output, citizenship decision; and feedback loop is restored. So The real-world analogy, just like a jury in a courtroom, citizens evaluated evidence, applied defined standards, and deliver a decision. The citizenship becomes a deliberate process, not an automatic outcome. Safeguards to ensure fairness, clear legal standards, protection against bias, appeals process, oversight mechanisms. This is critical to prevent misuse. Connection back to participation. Earlier we said voting is only the beginning. This proposal extends that idea. Citizens don't just choose leaders, citizens help shape the nation directly. Final thought on citizenship. Citizenship is not just a status, it is a relationship between the individual, the nation, and the people within it. If we want a government that reflects the will of the people must be part of the process, not just at the ballot box, but in the decisions that define the nation itself. And like I said, this is one of the things that if I become a member of the House of Representatives, I'll move towards, I'll try to support, because really this is common sense legislation. Kind of like, we talk about common sense gun control, okay? The Second Amendment says you have the right to bear arms. Yeah, but I mean there are common sense situations where you don't want somebody to have any kind of a weapon, not just guns. You don't want that person to have a bow and arrow or a knife or a pair of scissors for that matter. I mean, there's some people out there that I wouldn't want those people being able to eat with, a fork. Those people are nuts. And this allows the empowerment of the citizen. And like I said at the very beginning, one of the core principles of mine is local decision making. Now, there are things that are known locally that are not known federally. And the people of a town, a province, a county, a city, anything like that, they're going to know things about the people in their city that the federal government is not going to know about. And locally, if decisions are made locally instead of centrally, the people of that smaller area are going to be able to make decisions that benefit the smaller area, which is why I like the idea of local decision making rather than centralized decision making at the federal level. Not everything that happens in the United States is a constitutional matter, and not everything that happens in the United States should be decided at a federal level. So keep it local, and we can keep it reasonable. Okay, so anyways, so diversity, security, and opportunity. This is something I wanted to talk about because we keep on hearing diversity is our strength. Our strength is diversity. America is strong because of diversity, blah, blah, blah. And that's a marketing gimmick. That's a marketing saying, people in the marketing department of any kind of corporation, they come out with these marketing slogans. They want you to learn the marketing slogan. Okay, like got milk. Everybody heard, yeah, got milk? Hey, that's a marketing slogan, and it makes you want to think, oh yeah, do I have milk? I need to go get milk. Like that kind of thing. So there are marketing slogans. One of the marketing slogans is our strength is our diversity is our strength. And in looking at that, I take a different perspective. I take an engineering perspective. I reframe the argument and I kind of look at it differently. And this is the way I'm reframing the argument here, okay? More slides. Let's talk about another widely used phrase, diversity is our strength. Okay. Is diversity inherently a strength? Is it inherently a weakness, or is it something else entirely? Diversity is neither automatically a strength nor a weakness. It is a condition. What matters is the system it exists within, the stability of that system. Before any society can debate diversity, it must first answer, is it secure? Because without security, you have instability. Without stability, no opportunity. The historical perspective. Throughout history, Sparta relied on the phalanx formation. Rome relied on disciplined legions. Nations survived based on defensive strength. Security has always come first. And here you have the Greeks. We all saw that movie, the 300. That was a pretty cool movie. I liked it. Modern era. Today, national security includes military capabilities, strategic defense systems, nuclear deterrence. These create a proactive boundary. How strength creates opportunity. Security functions like a stabilizing system. Strong defense, reduced external threat. Reduced threat, internal stability. Stability, opportunity for growth, including cultural and individual diversity. So reframing diversity. Diversity is not the source of strength. It is an opportunity made possible by strength. Why this matters. If a society is stable, secure, and confident, then it can accept differences, encourage innovation, allow freedom of expression, and diversity can thrive. So essentially, what I am saying here is diversity is not our strength. The reason the United States of America is strong is because we have a nuclear arsenal. We have got so many nuclear bombs. We've got a lot of nuclear bombs. Nobody in the world is going to mess with the United States, including other nuclear powers. Russia, China, North Korea, I guess Pakistan has a nuclear bomb, I don't know. But other countries that have nuclear bombs don't even mess with America. So our strength comes from our military power, our ability to show the world we are strong militarily. And because we are strong militarily, we can allow for diversity to happen in America. And so diversity is not a strength or a weakness. Diversity is an opportunity that presents itself because we have strength in America. So that's the way I see it. That's me reframing the argument. That's me looking at it from an engineering perspective, okay? Button's not working too well. In unstable regions, conflict limits diversity, survival takes priority. In stable societies, people from different backgrounds coexist, ideas mix, innovation increases, stability enables diversity. Balanced position. I'm in favor of diversity. I see value in different perspectives, but I do not see diversity itself as the source of strength. Strength comes first, diversity follows. This connects everything we've discussed. Easter is renewal, elections is participation, citizenship, responsibility, security is stability. Diversity is opportunity within a stable system. So all this stuff creates a stable system, providing the opportunity for diversity to happen. Yep, it's not working. Yep. What happened here? There we go. So a strong military creates a strong nation, which provides the conditions for diversity. So diversity is not a strength or a weakness. Diversity is an opportunity created by the conditions that result from strength. So whenever we do something to encourage diversity, we have to ensure that diversity helps us to maintain our strength. What's going on here now? There we go. This is my raccoon of ended presentations. So the presentation's over. So essentially, what I want to say is this. Yes, I'm going to hold that in my hand because I'm going to need to drink some more. I like drinking water. It lubricates my old joints. I'm old. Diversity is great. It is a wonderful thing. As a scientist, as an engineer, I can say diversity is one of the best things that we can have. But you can't have diversity if you don't have strength and stability. So what we have to do as American citizens is we have to ensure, we have to make sure, we have to make certain that the people who we provide with opportunities in America increase our strength, or if they don't increase our strength, at least they don't diminish our strength. It's been shown in the news that many people who we have allowed to come into the United States with the best of intentions on our part, our part is, make them, not just open the borders, let them come in. The best of intentions, really the best of intentions on our part. We've allowed people to come into the United States who talk about the violent overthrow of America, death to America. They want to commit terrorist acts against America because of what America may be doing in the Gulf, or, against Iran or whatever. And these are people that will weaken America. And a weak America cannot be a diverse America. We want diversity, so we need America to be strong. We need a strong America so that we can maintain diversity. So, whenever this election comes around, we're going into the primaries, and I believe January, February, March, April, May. I believe it's May the 1st. I can't remember, May the 11th, something like that. I know it's in May. Pretty sure it's in May. What we need to do is elect people that we know about. Do your research. Look into these people. Talk to these people. Find out who these people are. Now, me, I'm a write-in candidate. I didn't get the correct paperwork done. It was a misunderstanding on my part, so not the, I'm a write-in candidate. I will not be appearing on the primary ballot. If you want to write me in as a candidate, I thank you very much. I would love it if you write my name. Just put Thomas W. Timbrooks on the write-in portion, and they will register it. They'll say, yeah, Thomas W. Timbrooks got this many votes, so he's going to go into the November election. Anyways, the primary is coming up, and for the position that I'm running for, I know the person that did get his paperwork in. His name is David Russ. He's a good guy. He's got a lot of good ideas. I think my ideas are better. I think I have better ideas. So I would love it if you write my name in, just Thomas W. Timbrooks, put it down in there, and vote for me, because if I get on the ballot in November, I'll go, and I win, I'll go to Washington, and I will make Oregon just a much better place, make Oregon's 6th congressional district a much better place to live. And yeah, see, there we go. My top 10 objectives there. Those are, remove $5 trillion from the national debt, propose a 28th Amendment, secure America's digital infrastructure, tuberculosis and polio screening, 5-pillar blueprint, protect our law enforcement through the Reasonable Operating Space Act, require early measles vaccination, American Talent First Act, protect American jobs, and research into immunotherapy for curing cancer, and in-person voting. I support President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think Tulsi Gabbard for president in 2028 is pretty reasonable. I think she could do a really good job as president. I do support the Make America Great Again thing, but mostly I am a Make Oregon's 6th congressional district America's greatest congressional district person. And so that's where I'm at, and that's that's my presentation for everybody, so you guys. So thank you very much for listening to me, and take care. God bless. Okay, I'm done. I guess you guys gotta turn this off. Yeah. We'll set up a little differently today. Yeah.